Hey, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
It's Thursday.
And welcome to this edition of The Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And we're excited to be here.
Yeah.
We usually take a few minutes and talk about events that are coming up and, recap the season. But the amazing thing about this week is that the season is winding down really fast. And to my knowledge, there's not many events going on this weekend. We'll talk about one in a little bit. But as far as, local or large scale events in our area, things are really winding down.
Yeah. I mean, the closest thing we have to a fishing show is a camping show that's in some mall somewhere. So it's a good time to get out fishing. It's going to be 40, 50 degrees, depending on where you are.
Well, and if you can still get out fishing, because I know where we're at in central Wisconsin, there are shores that are degrading fast. And so I have no idea what it's like anywhere south of me.
Right.
So if you are south of us, let us know how your ice is. Let us know if you guys are still able to fish this weekend. Drop a location or drop an amount of ice, and we're interested in hearing about that. The other thing is we'll have a bunch of comments coming in later, because we actually have a guest tonight.
Yeah, we do. Mr. Matt Waldron.
So welcome to the
what's going on, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Just doing a little truck fishing right now.
Oh, truck fishing.
Gosh, I always start with a question of tell us about yourself, but I'm also amazed that you're able to still truck fish somewhere. So let's get to that in a minute. But, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yep. We got about like 30 plus inches of ice right here right now. So we might be truck fishing for a little while longer, but my name's Matt. I am one of the techs at Vexillar. So I work on fixing and repairing all the Vexilar units that people decide to run over or water drown or whatever it may be. And then I also work in the R&D process and design and development. And so I work on designing the new units, testing the new units. And then I'm also a pretty avid tournament angler and guide. So I kind of do it all in the fishing industry, but that's kind of what I do, who I am, and I'm a panfish nut all winter long, and then in the summer I do walleye, smallmouth bass, and then crappies in the spring.
Yeah, because how could you not go after crappies in the spring?
Exactly.
Gosh, that's really, I cannot wait for that. Actually, we were just talking about missing ice, and you are still out there ice fishing, but I guess I have got some things to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely.
So, as far as ice fishing, you do still have a tournament coming up this weekend. We kind of alluded to that a little bit earlier. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I fish a tournament circuit called the Ultimate Panfish League. And our last event this year is on Green Lake in Spicer, Minnesota, which is about 2 hours west of the metro. It's an awesome panfish lake. There's really big bluegills, really big crappies, but they're very difficult to find. So we should see our new bluegill record set, potentially our crappie record set, and then our all-time weight bag set. So how the tournament circuit works, it's 15 fish. You get 7 bluegills, 7 crappies, and then once you get your 7 and 7, you get to keep a bonus fish. And typically it's a crappie because that'll weigh more than a bluegill on most lakes. But that's kind of how the tournament's set. It's 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. is the times. And it's streamed live on Facebook. So if you guys go to the Ultimate Panfish League, you can watch us there. And they'll actually go around to the anglers and we'll break down what we're doing, how we're catching fish during the tournament too. So it's a great learning tool for a lot of people who want to know how a lot of the pros are catching fish. So it's an awesome event. We have 4 tournaments a year. This year we started on Pekegama. Then we went to, I'm going to totally blank on the name of Big Marine. And that's kind of like northeast of the metro. Then we did a lake down in Faribault called Tatanka. And then this is our last one on Green. And this is my 3rd year fishing the league. I absolutely love it. It's a ton of fun. I also do the NAIFCs, which is the pro level of the ice fishing tournament circuits. And this year, actually, I didn't fish one. There was one in Wisconsin. I think it was Balsam Lake. I'm not sure. That's not near you guys. I'm thinking that's probably west
I'm
of you
not
guys.
actually sure, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like, I think it's central Wisconsin. I'm not quite sure. It was negative 30 that weekend, so I passed on that one. We had just had the weekend prior, we were on Tatanka, and it was negative 24 for the start, and that was about good for me.
Yeah.
It's cool because we're not fishing in traps; we're hole hopping outside. So,
Well, and no matter how good your gear is, you have to be able to fish in your hole. And when that line is freezing up so bad, that's something that seriously affects.
Oh yeah, yep. Hole hopping in those conditions was brutal. It was not fun. I don't recommend it. But yeah, we fished outside pretty much the entire time, and it was as I hate using the word grind, but it was a grind. It was absolutely horrible. So I'm looking for fishing in 55-degree weather this weekend. Let's just say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do have a few comments coming in and questions, so some of them we'll get to sooner than later, but some of them hold those questions because we're going to get there. If you do have questions still that you haven't put in, drop them down. But the other exciting thing is that we are here together tonight because of a viewer request. So if you are the people that made the request, come and say hello too. Otherwise, if you have ideas for other shows, let us know. But one of the burning questions that seems like it's coming up is certainly about Vexilars. So tell us a little bit about how you use those or other electronic devices in finding success and finding fish.
Yeah, so, Vexilar unit's been a staple in the ice industry now for, about right around 30 years. About 20 years ago, it started getting really, really popular. And we have models from the beginner ice fisherman at a $300 price point all the way up to a performance unit, which is sitting right around $800. And so we kind of have something for everyone's different style of fishing. We have, I believe we have 6 or 7 models right now, the 8, the 12, the 18, the 20, the 28, and the 30. So we got 6. We have underwater cameras as well too. But yeah, our flashers is our mainstay and what we specialize in. And pretty much it just allows you to interpret the mood of the fish and how it interacts with your bait better than pretty much any other sonar on the market. And so, because it's real time, it's instantaneous data that you're analyzing. And depending on how you're set up with different transducers or in different units, our higher end units will actually be able to tell you if that fish is tipped up or tipped down based on where the lines are stacked on your readings. So it's an extremely useful tool in catching more fish, especially fish that are hugging the bottom, fish that are suspended. What I like to consider it as, if you're fishing without one, it's almost like you're walking down 494 during rush hour and you're blind and you don't know where you're going. So that's kind of like what it's like fishing without one. So it doesn't matter what kind of flasher you decide to go with, but a flasher or any sort of sonar is going to be extremely useful while you're out on the ice.
Yeah, that's awesome. The other thing that people definitely know and love about Vexilar is that some of these older units, still really are sticking around. And so it's not necessarily that you need the newest, fanciest, craziest model, although those are fun to have. But, a Vexilar that you might have had for a few years, quite a few years, maybe you're using your dad's or something, those are all units that are going pretty strong.
Are you guys able to hear me?
We're
a little bit.
Okay, it's disconnecting. I don't know why.
Well, that's okay. So like you said, though, those units last a long time. I actually have at my parents' house, my first unit that I ever bought was a micronar, and that was pre FL8. And that's one that still fits on the Gens box. And we use that, when we have extra people coming with, we use that all the time.
Yep. The Micronar actually was one of the first versions of the FL8. We have we had the Micronar, then it went to the Hondax, it started out as Cytex, then it went to Micronar, then it went to Hondax, then it went to the Vexilar FL8. And so we pretty much purchased the rights to it, and we had been working direct with Honda, division of Honda, which is over in Japan, and that makes our flashers. And so that's kind of what we had started, with the FL8 initially. And then we ended up coming out with the FL10, which is in-dash flasher for a boat. And then we pretty much just started advancing on the FL8 with the FL8 SLT. And then soon after that, we released the FL18, which was the first unit on the market that had a bottom zoom. And so that was a big step up for us when we went to that. But yeah, they last absolutely forever. And the nice thing is about Vexilar, if you do ever have an issue, we're only a phone call away, or we pride ourselves on our customer service. And we fix and repair the units too, so you don't have to go and spend $300 or $500 on a new one. You can spend $80 and pretty much make your unit like new again. So that's the one nice thing about us is doesn't matter how old your unit is, we'll still work on it. We invented the world's first ever paper graph, which is pretty much the what I would like to call the OG version of side imaging. And that was in the 50s and the 60s, or excuse me, the 60s and the 70s. And the paper graph, commercial carp fishermen still use it to this day, and we still fix them. So doesn't matter how old your unit is, we'll still fix them.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So question, do you know of new graphs coming out 2021, 2022?
No, we're not releasing any new models this year. We're sticking with our 30, which is our flagship unit. And the 30 we released this last year, and so we're just going to stay with it. But we're always working on new products.
Well, and so with that, give us some of the highlights of that unit.
Yeah, so the FLX30 was a new style of unit for us. That is pretty much our first unit that had broadband sonar technology. And what broadband sonar is the ability to choose different frequencies. And the benefits to that is you get better sizing of your fish in the jig. You can easily tell the difference between a 6-inch bluegill and a 10-inch bluegill, or 8-inch crappie and a 12-inch crappie. And so that's kind of why we went with that. The other benefit to multiple different frequencies is that you can actually control your cone angle and how wide it is or how narrow it is based on the frequency that you're using. So that was the main thing with the 30 that we really wanted to come out with. And we've been playing around with it for quite a few years now. And we finally found a way to put it into a flasher. And so it's not necessarily a new technology, but it's a new look to the technology. And it pretty much what it does is it gives you the best sonar picture at any different depth range based on what frequency and power level you have the unit set at.
Cool.
That is awesome. And I think a lot of times, you're talking about cone angle. A lot of times people don't recognize why that's so important. So, somebody's so knowledgeable, you can explain it certainly way better than I could. So let's touch on that a little bit as well.
Yeah. So pretty much what cone angles are is how wide your sonar signal is at different depth ranges. So all of our units, we have 3 standard cone angles, which is a 19 degree, a 12 degree, and a 9 degree. And those pretty much, you want to base what transducer you're using on the fishing scenarios you most commonly find yourself in. So if you never fish over 30 foot of water, but you're not in weeds, a 19 degree should be just fine, which is a very wide cone angle. But if you fish a lot of structure, steep breaks, weeds, timber, you're going to want a narrower cone angle that doesn't pick up as much clutter and doesn't have as big of a dead zone, which is where if you're fishing a steep break, a wider transducer, trying to think of it here. Let's see if I can. So a wider transducer right here in a steep break, this area right here is a dead zone because the sonar hits right here.
Oh.
A narrower transducer is going to shoot down further so you don't have as much dead zone. So that's why you want to pick and choose your transducer based on the scenario you're fishing in. And the nice thing about the 30 is you don't have to do that because it all is in one package. So you get complete control of your cone angle from 15 degrees down to about 7.5 degrees, based on the frequency that you're using. So that's a big thing that I see a lot of people either not fully understand, or that they're just using the wrong transducer for the scenarios that they're fishing in. I mean, I've seen guys that are fishing lake trout in 200 foot of water and they're using a 19 degree. Well, the 19 degree only shoots down well to about 30 foot. You're going to want to use a 9 degree because that'll go down all the way to 300. So it really depends on your fishing scenario, on what transducer that you decide to go with. But that's the nice thing about the 30 is you don't have to worry about that because you already have everything right there in one package.
That's way awesome.
That is awesome. Well, and let's bring up Darren's question here, and I'll read it to you because I don't know how big your screen is, but it says, I'm using an FL18 Pro Pack. It's great, but old. I struggle when fishing tulubi in the deep holes. Is a new unit going to help me with deeper water fishing?
You don't necessarily need a new unit. You would probably just want to go with a ProView. So tulubi fishing, a lot of times you can find yourself up to about 80 foot of water fishing these rock humps. And a lot of times when you're fishing in that depth of water, the FL18 Pro Pack, if it's the stock unit, it would have came with a 12 degree ice deucer. And the 12 degree works well, but if it's an older transducer, it is going to be pretty weak more than likely. So if you find yourself having to turn up your gain, I would definitely recommend a new transducer. And for your specific scenario, if you do fish a lot of deeper water, I would definitely recommend the ProView, which is our 9 degree cone angle. That's going to make your unit a night and day difference pretty much when you're fishing in that depth of water.
Well, and maybe this is a stupid question, but do the older units, is that very compatible with the new equipment on the market, or do you have to go online and find something specific to match a year or something?
No, all of our transducers are interchangeable all the way from the Micronars, Cytexes, and Hondexes all the way up to our brand new units. The only transducer specific rate right now is the 30 because that's a broadband transducer. So besides that, all of our units, the transducers are completely interchangeable. And even then, the 30 deucer will still work on the other units. It's just you don't really need it.
Good to know. Yeah, that's good to know. We have some people asking about units, and they are finding that the places they are looking to buy them are out. Any tips on where to find Vexilars?
Wait till next year. We've been completely sold out for about 2 months now. And most of our retail stores are completely sold out. If you're looking for a FLX 28 or a 30, there's a bait shop up in Black Duck, Minnesota, which is northern Minnesota. One of our sales guys, Corey Studer, he actually made a Facebook post today telling people that they have about 3 30s and 3 28s left. So that's the only shop I know of that has units in stock right now. But besides that, all the retail stores should be fully stocked in October.
Okay, well, there was somebody here looking for a 28. So, yeah.
Yep, there you go. There's only a couple left.
Get them while they're hot. Get them before the ice melts.
Yeah, and to be honest, if you call Vex about once a week, we get reconditioned units in, and so there's always a chance that you can put yourself on the waiting list if you call Corey Studer, who is one of our sales guys. He has a waiting list right now, and we get reconditioned units in a couple times a week, and so they're going quick, and they only last for about a day. But you can always give us a call. You can be put on the waiting list, and it'll save you a little bit of money on virtually a brand new unit.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So there was a question that I'm also interested in. It's way off topic.
Okay.
What are you fishing with tonight?
What am I fishing with right now? I got a little bit of a spoon on, actually. Let's see here. So I like to switch up different spoons. Usually at night, I like this. I don't even know if you guys can see this right now. Hang on a second. Oh, there you go. This would be a PK Lures tungsten flutter spoon, I believe. And then I also have the rod's back there right now, but I also have a pinhead minnow from Clam, and that is the Dakota Angler Special, which is the Wonder Bread color. And you can get that on Dakota Angler's website, and that's a special color that they have just for them. But that's what I'm fishing with right now. I got her tipped with some waxies and some Eurolarva. But I'm just glowing the jig up right now. You know, you got to use glow at night so they can see it. But we're fishing about 7-8 foot of water right now in some weeds. So I'm just fishing right above the weeds right now, and then I'll drop down into the weeds and try to see if I can raise a crappie up through the weeds. But so far it's been a little slow. We've got a few earlier at sunset, but hopefully it'll pick up here in a little bit and I can catch one for you guys. That'd be nice.
Well, and we were talking about, ice season is great, but open water is what's coming up here, and
Yep.
fish are biting then. So tell us a little bit about what does your open water look like?
Yeah, so open water for me, I'll be picking the boat up here on April 3rd and getting it all ready to go and get my graphs put back on the boat. And then I'll be heading to Iowa chasing smallmouth. And then after that, I'll be going to, I think, South Dakota for a weekend chasing smallmouth. And then I'll be guiding on Mille Lacs in the month of May for, again, smallmouth and walleyes. So that's what the spring looks like for me. I'll also mix in crappie fishing when I can.
That's awesome.
So the thing that I've heard is that you're really into electronics and all of that, and that your boat is really decked out. So tell us about what you have on your boat.
Yep. So I have at the console, so I run a 21-foot Legend bass boat. And I have on the console, I have a Solix 15 and a Garmin 93 SV. And then on the bow, I have a Solix 15 as well with another Garmin 93 SV, and that's rigged up with live scope. And then at the console, I have a FL10 in-dash flasher, and that is a Vexilar unit for high-speed readouts. So going 60 to 65, I can usually still get sonar signal. And then I have a 30 up front on the bow of the boat, and that's for video gaming. So I use the live scope as targeting fish, and then once I'm directly over the top of them, I switch over to my flasher and use that as well. So that's kind of how I have the boat set up. I also have a camera, just one of our Fish Scout cameras mounted to the boat as well. And what that allows me to do is if I have any doubt in my mind on what I'm looking at on my sonar, I can drop it down, and it's usually a fail safe, and it'll show me what's truly going on down there. And a lot of people I see not utilizing their cameras as well as they should be during the open water season, not only just ice. So that's how I have the boat set up, and it helps a lot when finding and trying to locate fish. I'll use my side imaging to not only find rock piles, but actually fish as well. And then once I mark the waypoints down, I'll then go through up front on the bow of the boat with my flasher and my live scope looking for the fish and hunting them down.
Well, and you certainly are an expert, and you are good at using your equipment and your graphs and your technology, but that is the thing, is that everybody starts somewhere.
Yep.
So there's a lot of people out there who are new to the different electronics on their boat, or even sometimes on the ice. But that is also the best thing about having a camera around, like you were saying, is, if you have marks on your graph, if you are seeing different things, encountering different things out on the boat, put that camera down and you can see what that actually is. That's maybe the difference between like bait is coming through and like, oh, there's interference on my graph.
Yep.
Those tell way different things.
Oh yeah, and a good example of it was I was fishing on Mille Lacs a couple years ago, and this is when I first started using a camera open water. And I could have sworn that they were smallmouths. It was on a big, deep rock pile, about 25 foot. I was marking a lot of fish, didn't know what they were. Well, it ended up being a big school of sucker minnows. So, and some of those suckers on Mille Lacs get up to about 20 inches long. So that was a big learning curve for me, where I was fishing those things for about 2 hours, but I was wasting my time because there wasn't the fish I was going after. So utilizing your camera and your sonar is huge open water as well as ice fishing.
Plus, another really fun thing is if you are the kind of person who is bringing kids out on the boat or friends who are new to the sport, a camera is definitely something that is going to keep everybody occupied. So in those moments where fishing isn't fast and furious and you don't have the night light to sit and watch, that's something that's really great to do.
Yep, exactly. Kids love actually being able to see stuff. And so especially for younger kids, that haven't really understood how to work a flasher yet, it is very important to at least keep their attention. And so a camera is a great way of doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Plus, there's a lot of really portable designs these days in cameras. So if you are still ice fishing, or if it's something that you're going to be bringing in and out of the boat, that's super possible.
Yep, exactly.
Again, for people who maybe aren't super blessed with the different technology that you have on your boat, or that, you know, we try to put some good stuff on our boat, but you know, there's a lot of people who just will bring their good old favorite Vexilar out onto their boat in open water. So I guess, first of all, is it possible to use that in open water, and can you give us a few tips?
Yep, absolutely. The nice thing is we make open water transducers for all of our units, whether it's a high-speed transducer mounted on the transom of your boat, or a bow mount transducer, a puck style mounted to the trolling motor. We also make in-hull shoot-through fiberglass hull transducers, and we also have alumiducers, which is an aluminum shoot-through hull deucer. And so we have a lot of different options. One of the really nice things about it is we actually offer open water kits that has a 6-foot long power cord, a mounting bracket, and a transducer for your boat. We have suction cup mounts if you're, let's say, going on a hiking trip where you can just bring a nice lightweight lithium battery with you and suction cup the transducer to the back end of the boat. For guys that are usually going in on, we'll have guys do it on fly-in trips up north. Guys that are doing portaging in their kayaks, or even canoes, that we have a lot of different options for transducers. And so definitely utilizing at least some sort of sonar when you're on a body of water that either you're not familiar with, or if you're actually trying to video game fish or locate fish, it is a nice way to buy just one unit and be able to use it all year round. So we have a lot of different options for you.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's, when you have a unit that you can use, you know, in more than just one season, that's definitely great in my book.
Yep. Yeah, it makes a big difference having some sort of sonar to give you an idea of what you're fishing.
So I guess as far as this coming weekend, is that jumping back to ice, I guess I'm kind of random here. Are you planning to use a Vexilar this weekend for the UPL tournament?
Oh yeah, yep. The Vexilar does not leave my side pretty much the entire year. As soon as ice hits, it's very rare that you see me without a Vex. I'll have my live scope units, my cameras, my mapping units. I have my 4-wheeler pretty decked out, so everything's right on it. And all those are useful tools for me when I'm locating and finding fish. I'll utilize my Garmin live scope for finding the schools of fish, and then once we find the schools of fish, I will take my Vex, and we call it seek and destroy. We find them with the Garmin, and then we kill them with the Vex. So it's a 1-2 punch that a lot of us tournament guys use, and it's a very effective method of finding fish quickly, not wasting a lot of time, and being able to target fish effectively. So I pretty much utilize pretty much every brand sonar that I possibly can on the water to up my performance even more. So limiting yourself to one is usually not the best, but for catching fish and fishing fish targets, the best way to do it is with a Vex, and then finding them, the great tool, if you can afford it, is a Garmin live scope. Otherwise, another easy way of doing it is swinging the transducer of your Vexilar while it's in the hole to see what direction the fish have moved off to once you find them.
Okay, so for the people at home, because you did break up a tiny bit at the end there, but just to make sure that people heard what you said, what you can do is move that transducer, so swing it in that hole a little bit. You do kind of want to get an idea of how much you're swinging your transducer, because certainly if you swing it too far and you don't want to hit back up on the ice or something, but then you can get a glimpse of, you know, as that transducer moves, of what's in those different directions. So that's something that I think a lot of times people forget they can do, that it's not just a static unit that has to look directly down the hole.
Yep, exactly. Swinging the deucer is very nice, especially if you're on a school of active crappies. And let's say you're fishing in a basin scenario. Granted, swinging the deucer isn't going to help much in shallow water because your coverage area is so small. But if you're in deeper water, it's super effective for just figuring out which way that they have moved, so you can quickly drill holes.
Cool.
Awesome. So I guess, what does the rest of your ice season look like? And then getting into open water, you said crappies.
Yep. So the rest of my ice season, I've got this weekend, I've got the UPL. I finally get a free weekend next weekend. So hopefully if we still have ice, I'll hopefully doing some ice fishing. The weekend after, I'm taking that weekend off and hanging out with the fiance. And then the week after that, I leave for Florida. And I'll be in Florida for about a week. And then the day after I get back, I'm picking the boat up and getting it rigged up for smallmouth fishing in Iowa. And then I'll be smallmouth fishing in South Dakota. And then, like I said, I'll be up on the Lacs after that. But I'll be mixing in crappie fishing while I'm doing that too. So usually weeknights after I get off work at Vexillar, I'll go out with buddies or Anna, my fiance, and then we'll go do some crappie fishing on Laconia or Minnetonka. And then we'll also do, I think I got a crappie tournament on April 24th on Minnetonka, so that'll be fun as well.
Very cool.
Yeah. And we have a lot of people commenting here that, even if they don't have questions, like even Jacob wrote here, just to say, I love what you do for, the ice fishing community, that you're a big influence. So, a lot of love out there for you. That's an awesome thing. For people who want to get a hold of your guide service, how do they do that?
They can just message me on Facebook if they would like. And it's a pretty relaxed guide service. It's not very official. I don't have a Facebook page or a website or anything. To be honest, most of what I do for guiding is actually not really guiding. It's electronic seminars. So most of the time what I'll do is, we can take my boat, but what I more so enjoy is teaching you how to use your own electronics better. And so I'll do it probably when I get a chance to, usually about 12 to 20 times a year. I'll have clients usually hire me to come out onto their boat and teach them how to use their graphs and set up their graphs the best way for their fishing scenario. And so whether it's Humminbird units, Lowrance units, or Garmin units, I'm pretty proficient with all of them. And I can help dial in your sonar better so you're understanding what you're looking at. That's a big thing with side imaging, down imaging, and 2D sonar. A lot of people don't realize what they're actually looking at. And so having someone who knows what they're doing in the boat with you and helping you understand your own electronics can usually be more of a benefit than just going out in my boat where everything's already dialed in and showing you what to look for. So I do both ways, but that's usually what I do is electronic seminars on the water. And I also do it on the ice too. But with this year, I had a fish on. Holy crap. That almost ripped the rod out of my hand. It almost just shot straight into the water. That's mostly what I do, though, is electronic seminars.
Oh my gosh, that was so exciting. I love the idea of that though, because so many people are excited to get, the next graph, the next big thing. It's gonna find my fish. But that's the thing is, a graph, a sonar, a unit is only really as good as the person who's running it. And if you have no idea what you're doing and no idea where to start, it's very, very hard to start that process no matter how diligent you are. So to have somebody there hands-on with experience, is fabulous. And then talk about a trip that you can take knowledge out of and use again. That is super excellent. I'm probably going to be calling you, to be honest.
Yeah, it really helps. And another great way of doing it too is watch as much YouTube content as you possibly can on the specific graph that you have. That is a big way of being able just to understand what to set your unit at or what to look for on the water before you even, or at home before you even get on the water. So those are just a lot of tips that I like to recommend to people is if you have a specific question on your sonar, go to YouTube and they have very good breakdowns. I can't remember what the guy's name is, but he's very good with, I think his name is Doug. and
Oh,
he has a
yeah.
lot of very good hummingbird tips on YouTube. And so there's a lot of guys that, besides me, I don't do too much with the YouTube game except for when we filmed the Crappie Chronicles this year. But besides that, I don't do too much with the YouTube game. But there's a lot of guys that do very good breakdowns on sonar and interpreting it, and it's very useful. And I don't see a lot of people utilizing it. So that is one super important thing. If you're having questions on not only how to set up your graph, but just what you're seeing on it, those are great resources to be able to learn more on what your unit's telling you.
That's awesome.
I'm nervous now to have another fish grab the rod.
You never know when they're going to turn on.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the Vex in like at least 20 minutes, so it's my fault.
Awesome. So for people who want to get a hold of you, definitely they will send you a message. I'm sure that people are excited about that.
Mhm.
You know, if people have, you know, questions about their Vexilar, it sounds like probably get a hold of Vexilar first, but you know, certainly you are a source of information.
Vexilar, you get a hold of me. So yeah, if you get a hold of Vexilar and you have unit issues or anything, I would be the guy that you would be talking to. Otherwise, it would be the other service technician, Tyler. And we're the troubleshooting guys that pretty much will help walk you through any issues on your sonar. And so that would be a great resource. We also have our website, just in case it's a weekend or a weeknight and you can't get a hold of us. Our website has a lot of very, very good, useful information that will help you learn. It's actually called the Learning Center portion on our website. It's just vexilar.com/learning center. And we have a ton of useful videos on that site, whether it's from battery issues to transducer issues to flasher issues.
That's awesome.
Sounds great.
Yeah. And so, you know, thank you again for being here.
Yeah, no problem. Do we have a lot of questions rolling in yet?
You know, a few along the way. A lot of them we have asked you. People are interested in where you're going in Iowa.
I'll be going to Okoboji.
Oh, awesome.
There you go, Keith.
Yep, Okoboji. It's a part of the Iowa Great Lakes. There's actually like 6 lakes all connected to each other. I do a lot of the smallmouth fishing on West Okoboji, which is about 20-foot water clarity. It's super clear. And actually, if it's flat calm, it's almost kind of trippy because you'll be looking down and it looks like you're in a bathtub. But I'll be down there for a couple weeks.
Uh-oh. Froze up.
Oh, I see your mouth moving. I'm not hearing you.
I'm back. Yep, I'm back. I got another phone call. My bad. But yeah, so I'll be down there for a couple weekends, smallmouth fishing. And then I'll be going back up to, actually, I'll be going out to South Dakota and fishing a bunch of smaller lakes out there. Anywhere from Roy to Enemy Swim to Wabe.
Very cool.
Well, and hopefully next year we get back to.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh, oh, and hopefully next year we get back to the shows and expos, because then certainly at that point, if you were interested in meeting Matt, that's something that I hear he's at all the shows and expos, usually Vexilar booth. So we are hoping again to probably bump into him there. For this meantime,
we'll let you get back to crappie fishing, Matt.
And we will definitely touch base soon.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll be at the ice show next year. I'm at the Vexilar booth every single year. So if anyone has any questions on either product, unit issues, whatever it may be, or just fishing related questions in general, I'm at the ice show every single year at the Vexilar booth, which is usually pretty close to the clam booth in the back of the building.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Oh man. So we will definitely look you up there and hopefully maybe bump into you sooner than that. So
Yeah.
for everybody watching the Night Fight, thanks for being around and can't wait to see you next week.
Yeah. Have a good night, everybody.